Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm here to bring to you another 24/7 news report today. All the rumours and news coming out of Everton Football Club. And I'd say the main piece of news is that apparently, according to Sports Lens, Everton and Leicester City are preparing bids for Brentford striker Ivan Toney once his season has ended, according to a report. Toney's been probably the informed striker in the Championship this season, 25 years old. He's scored 30 goals and assisted another 10 in 44 Championship appearances this season, and is believed to have caught the eye of Tottenham Hotspur as well. And Sport Lens cite The Athletic as claiming that the Blues have joined the race for Toney's signature, and say the £30 million rated player is hungry to prove himself in the top flight, and he can become Everton's next Romelu Lukaku if brought to Goodison Park. Now that's a big shout. Considering he's 25 years old as well, he's not as young as Ron was when he came to Goodison Park, but he seems like one of those where he's a bit of a late bloomer. He's worked his way up the leagues, really, Ivan Toney. I think he was with Peterborough the year before, and he's a strong striker, and he would be good to bring in. Similar to Dom a little bit, but he's got a bit of he's got a bit about him. He's a tall player, a good finisher, and he's developed his game very much over the last few years. So might be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Now, Kevin Campbell has spoken about Fabian Delph today, saying that Kevin Campbell's tipped Delph to help Everton's European push now that he's back. Now, I suppose it's another player coming back from injury. What you think of that player is another matter, but what Kevin Campbell thinks of this player, good friend of the Toffee Blues, of course, great fella. He said Delph coming back obviously gives them a lot more balance because he's a lefty and he comes on the pitch and we know what he can do. He gets about, he gets around people, he's a bit of a ratter, he's got a good energy. You need players, especially at this point in the season, you need your squad to be as strong as it can be. Everton have to go for the Champions League. I don't think they'll make it, but they have to go for it, and Fabian Delph could play a part. Now, I don't disagree with any of that. He could do, yeah, but I'm not sure he will. He needs to get up to match fitness, I think. He's not quite up to it from what I've seen over his couple of substitute appearances so far. But hopefully he'll get some match fitness up from those appearances and be sharper next time. Another name that's cropped up quite a lot in nearly all of the videos I've done so far is Adrian Rabiot. And it seems to be Italian media fueling that fire once again. Tuso Juve have claimed that the Serie A champions have decided to sell the 26-year-old this summer as they look to make their finances healthier. They reckon Juventus are ready to part with the France international for just £13 million as they seek to raise funds. So he's being linked with us once again. Interesting one. Quality midfielder, but he seems to be always unsettled. I think his agent is always trying to get him a move, it looks like. But apart from that, bit of reaction from the game. This is another interesting one. Djibril Sidibe, of course, who was on loan from Monaco Everton last season, claims that Ancelotti wanted him. He's told L'Equipe in France, "My first wish was to continue in the Premier League. When you play at Anfield or Old Trafford, you see the fans, not Goodison Park, you see the fans, the structures, that's the best for a football fan. And Ancelotti wanted me to stay. The clubs didn't agree. I returned to Monaco, where the manager immediately said, I'm counting on him." Interesting. Ancelotti spoke a little bit about Sidibe and said the club would make a decision on him at the end of the season. Now, whether he did want him to stay, I think Everton had an option to buy. So if the club really wanted him to stay, they would have bought him. But we don't know the full details behind that, I suppose. Another player I brought you news of being linked to Everton in the last couple of days has been Hwang Hee-chan, the RB Leipzig forward. And he's spoken out on his future now after those links, and he said, "In the summer, we will definitely talk to each other, the club, our new coach and I." Talking to Leipzig, talking about Leipzig, of course. His incoming boss, Jesse March, of course, is going to be managing Leipzig next season after the departure of Julian Nagelsmann, of course. And the fact that Jesse March already knows me very well is certainly not a disadvantage, says Hwang Hee-chan. So he could well be staying put. That's an interesting one. And another striker being linked with Everton is Sasa Kaladjic, and he is in the Bundesliga at the moment, and he seems to be doing all right. 6'7" Austrian international, playing for Stuttgart at the moment. And Daniel Pinder has told Football Fancast that he's quite similar to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but he can also play as a central attacking midfielder or as a false nine, so we think he can offer a lot to Everton. Interesting one. It seems Everton will be in the market for a striker this summer, but whether it would be a one who is similar to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, or whether it would be a striker who may offer something different, may be what we need. Apart from that, the Premier League have announced they're going to take measures to stop the threat of breakaway leagues, such as the European Super League, of course. And they've released a statement saying that they're going to add additional rules and regulations to ensure the principles of the Premier League and open competition are protected, including the new owners' charter. Breaches of the rules will be subject to significant sanctions. Of course, they did break the rules of the Premier League in the first place, so it'll be interesting to see what sanctions, if any, are brought to them, because they did break Rule L9, I think it was, of the Premier League rule book by negotiating to partake in a different competition without speaking to the Premier League anyway in the first place. But yeah, apart from that, Jordan Pickford's spoken about Everton's European push and said we must just go for it. The fans probably play a big part, but it's down to us to graft and work hard and constantly give our all. And he said, next we have West Ham, who are up there in the table. It's about beating the teams around us and just going for it. So I think that's certainly what Everton need to do in the final games of the season. So yeah, that's pretty much all the news coming out of Everton Football Club this afternoon. Let us know in terms of those strikers, who would you bring in out of those strikers? There's a few interesting names, a few similar types of strikers, to be honest, but which one would you prefer? Let us know in the comments, and be interesting to get some discussion going around that. But yeah, thanks a lot as always for watching, and join us next time on the Toffee Blues.